All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. I am Veronica Jackson. I'm the Executive Director of Pivot. We are a women's workforce reentry program here in Baltimore. And today we're going to talk specifically about healing through reentry and what does that mean and how we can actually go about accomplishing healing our community, healing ourselves while connecting with our reentry community. There are three main components that we're going to probably touch base on during this meeting together, and I want everyone to feel free to answer any questions, or if you want to know more about anything that I'm speaking on, please feel free. I would really like for it to be conversational. So with that being started, we're going to go ahead and get started. Each year in the United States, we have about 600,000 people are released from prisons or correctional institutions. Of those 600,000, 81,000 are women. And when we as a society often struggle with welcoming individuals back from incarceration. When a person is a returning citizen, it's oftentimes very hard for them to regain their confidence in society, but also to feel welcomed in society. And knowing the number of people that are incarcerated and returning on a yearly basis, how do we heal our society to ensure that we are not only supporting that person, but we're moving forward as a better society? And so the answer to that is through three different ways. The three things are reconnection, empathy, and opportunity. And for the time that we are here together, I will be speaking on each one of them and how essential and important it is into helping an individual and healing our community and bridging the gap between returning citizens and those citizens who are already in community. With that being said, I want to start with a scenario. I want you guys to understand that this is a true scenario and what it really truly means for returning citizens. We live in a society today that oftentimes says if you do something wrong, you go to prison. You serve your time in prison and then you get out of prison. But you're still suffering and struggling because the stigma of being incarcerated now follows you. And with that stigma, oftentimes comes a lot of barriers, misunderstanding, and mistrust, not only from the community, but sometimes from the individual's family, and oftentimes from our society. We have to look at it like this. Our society currently says, if you are incarcerated, you go to jail, you come out of jail, you have this record for the rest of your life that will follow you unless you're eligible to have your record expunged. Now, let's just put that in context of a 3, 4, or 5-year-old child, or any child. Your child does something that is not appropriate and they are sent to timeout. They spend their time in timeout. And then when they are out of timeout, you don't follow them the rest of the days asking them and saying, you know, you were in timeout 2-3 days ago, right? You simply allow them to return, you love them, and you support them in helping them to make better choices and decisions. Well, that is exactly what it takes to help bridge the gap between a returning citizen and our community. We have to do it through reconnection. And reconnection is very important. It's important to be able to reconnect with the community, with the families, with the businesses. And in reconnection, giving opportunity. Opportunity is very essential. Opportunity for individuals to really truly grow and have access to employment, decent housing, things that will help them to be sustainable while in society. But oftentimes you find that as a returning citizen, you're struggling, right? So you have a criminal record, you can't get an apartment, no matter how much money you make, Certain apartments are going to turn you down because of your criminal record, no matter how long ago you might have had that criminal offense. And that's why it's very important as a community that we start to destigmatize how we view returning citizens and understanding that we have to be the bridge to help that person be able to gain a sustainable life in our community. And oftentimes we struggle with that as a society, which is why you have programs like Pivot and many other programs here in Baltimore City that focus on helping to support returning citizens. Oftentimes, all it really takes is the key component, which is empathy. It doesn't mean that you're going to be sympathetic to the person and feeling sorry, but taking a moment to really truly sit with them and understand and see them as an individual and not as a criminal with an ID number or a criminal past. To have the empathy means that you are giving them the space to understand that they are not their charges, right? We all are different. I'm not the same person I was 3 years ago. I'm quite sure you all aren't the same person that you were 3 years ago. And understanding that we all make changes, we all go through different periods in our life, but having the key empathy to listen, to understand, and to help that person to rebuild. Oftentimes we are able to really understand that we're more alike than we are different. And the only thing that truly separates us are the charges that we believe aided in that person going to in a criminal justice setting. So, any questions so far from anyone? Nope. All right. So I'm going to keep going. I want to talk a lot about what does it mean to help in opportunity, right? In Baltimore City, there are many different organizations working to provide opportunities. The opportunities are the key success to healing, because if a person is granted the opportunities, then they are able to have a more stable and sustainable life, which means that we're reducing the likelihood that they would return to a life of crime, and we're reducing the recidivism rate. And what does those opportunities look like? Well, let's talk about them. It's opportunities in your community, allowing them chances to be engaged in community projects, community outreach, things that are gonna help uplift and bring the community back together, right? It's also opportunities within small businesses and large businesses and big entities within our cities to help work on destigmatizing what it truly means to be a returning citizen with a criminal past. It doesn't mean that that person isn't able to do the job or they're not willing to work. It's all about if they're able to get an opportunity to at least try at the job and show that they definitely can do the job just like anyone else. We have to really work on creating more opportunities in order to heal our city. A lot of times returning citizens really struggle because there is so much stigma and it's so much misunderstanding from not only their families, employers, but oftentimes just their everyday community, even in their interactions, that they carry that weight around with them and it really impedes upon their success. But if we had a more cultivated healing community, we could definitely welcome them back with open arms and the supportive services that they need to help them be successful. We all are going to travel this journey, but some of us are going to have bumps in the road, and that's okay, especially if they've gone to prison, they've done their time, and they are now looking for a new future, especially for those who really are eager to get back into society and be definitely a contributor to our society. Healing is so important in understanding that people are not all perfect. We're not all going to fit into one peg. But if we take the time to reconnect, offer opportunities, and a little bit of empathy, we're able to understand that people are people and we all can move forward through love and healing in a supportive way, regardless of your background. And so that's really the goal of healing through reentry, is to start and always remember that reconnection, empathy, and opportunity are so important. Without those three components, a person is always going to struggle. So if you are encountering a returning citizen in your community, a returning citizen who is in your church, they might be someone that you might know within your family, offer them the opportunity to reconnect, offer them the opportunity to have a chance for them to tell their story and to empathize with them and understand that you're not asking them, they're not asking you to feel sorry for them. They're asking you to understand that in their moment, they made a choice, and sometimes their choices can be due to environmental reasons. It could be due to their poverty level. It could be due to so many different things. But they, at one point in time in their life, they made a bad choice. But the empathy and understanding is that they're in a different space now in their life and they're looking to make other choices. And the way to help heal and sustain that is by welcoming them with a reconnection attitude, mind, and being able to support them with opportunities. Any questions so far? No? All righty. So with that, I want to go over just what are some of the reconnections opportunities for returning citizens here in Baltimore? Well, there are a number of programs. And if you want to share information with someone in your community, someone in your church home, it's very important that you find exactly what that person desires. But there are a number of returning citizen programs here. Pivot is definitely one of them. Although we only specialize in women, if we do get referrals to men, we do offer them the opportunity to connect with other male-related workforce development returning citizens programs. But there are also programs that don't focus on returning citizen workforce, but they simply just focus on helping that person as an individual. Sometimes it's just having a support group and the space for them to connect with other returning citizens. With the number of people that are released nationwide a year, when you think about what that means for Baltimore and the number of people that we release per year, definitely having these safe spaces to cultivate and support them is very essential in the work. There are another of places that you can go to find the listings. One of those places that I strongly, strongly recommend is Unite Us. Unite Us is a platform that lists all the resources and services here in Baltimore City. You also have the mayor's office that also supports and has a listing of resources. And you are also able to find a lot of reentry resources too by just simply dialing 211 here in Baltimore. So I think that one of the main components is access, right? We have to make sure that people have access to the resources and know where to go to gain the help. And if we're able to assist them in gaining the resources, then they are also have the opportunity to be way more sustainable. And if you need any continuous information on what it means to support a returning citizen, you can always email us at pivot.org, and we will definitely provide you with that information, or we can connect you with one of our partner organizations. There are a plethora of them in Baltimore City, making sure that we're doing the work to not leave a certain population behind. This is a population of people that oftentimes have been written off, and we definitely want to work hard to ensure that in our communities, we're changing that narrative and we're showing just the value that each and every person brings, especially returning citizens. I feel very strongly and passionately about this work because there is so many people in Baltimore City that could easily be impacted and affected by the criminal justice system. And that one moment in the criminal justice system could change your life. And we don't want a person to continue to spend the rest of their life paying for something they may have done 10, 15 years ago, one moment, 2 moments of their life. We want them to definitely move about the world and move about our city, being a positive contributor to our city and also making sure that they really truly feel upon reaching freedom that they are free. Just wanted to check in and see if anybody had anything. Feel free to put any questions or anything that you might have in the chat about this work and the things that we're doing. I would really like to open it up to ask any questions that anyone might have or any comments that people might want to give, or just any feedback that you all might have surrounding healing through reentry.
Veronica, I feel like you probably don't have the direct answer to this, but one of the things I try to think about is I want people to like know that I see them as more than their past, right? And I think trying to message that in a way, I think particularly I don't want to come across as conveying that as I'm building a relationship with someone. And so I'm just trying to think about like how to proactively like let someone know you're an ally without kind of stigmatizing them by saying like, I want to be helpful to you. If there's any way I can be helpful, I guess maybe that's just one way, but I guess other suggestions of ways to connect with folks, or
I think it's honestly through conversation, right?
Yeah.
And honestly, when you are speaking and you're showing in your actions that you value that person as a person, their criminal record doesn't even come up. I think that a lot of times we are so fearful, right? That we're going to say the wrong thing because we know that they have a criminal record, that we're like on eggshells. But I think it's just through consistency and through honest conversation. If you're consistently showing them that, you know, I value what you bring, I really truly am here to support you. Oftentimes showing that, hey, I've been consistent in my messaging to you, and this is how I truly view you. And sometimes when you're building that rapport and that relationship, it will come out that, you know, the individual might oftentimes say, listen, I really appreciate that you gave me an opportunity, that you looked at me as an individual and you didn't group me as a, you know, in the criminal justice realm and all of that. People will oftentimes notice it, and they'll call you out on it before you even have a chance to say anything, you know, because it's very appreciative on their end, but it's also very authentic, you know, where the relationship or however you're viewing or supporting that person through your consistency and your transparency, they're gonna know, you know. I think that oftentimes the main thing that stops us from healing is fear. It's fear, right? Even when we are an ally, we're so fearful of, am I saying the right thing? Am I doing the right thing? Am I doing too much? You know, and we really have to check in with ourselves. And sometimes it's really just about asking that individual, how can I best support you? Right? Not what I think that you need, but what is it that I can do to support you? And what do you want for yourself? Then that way we can remove so much of the fear and really get working on whatever it is that we're trying to accomplish. If it's bridging a gap in our community, if it's helping get employment, if it's just, you know, building that rapport and that friendship, it really starts with addressing, how can I be supportive to you, right? Not me going in saying, well, I offer this, this is what you should do, this is what you really need. We have to really check in with that individual, right? I think that's the uniqueness about Pivot, is that we're not like other workforce development programs. Women don't come in and say, oh, Ms. Jackson put Amazon in front of me and now I have a job. It's really about, where are you? What supports do you need? And what future do you desire for yourself? Because it's not just about getting a job, but it's in that moment, in those conversations, that the women are able to see that we authentically want them to live whatever life they desire for themselves and not us. And so sometimes when we operate from a place of fear, we automatically assume like, we got to make sure they have this and they want this and that, that and the third. And then, honestly, the person might not even need half of the things we're trying to throw at them, or they might not desire them. And so that's why conversations are so important. Just really connecting on such a deeper level of just assuming what returning citizens need. Even in households, we oftentimes have conversations where it's like, well, grandma, did you check in to see what she really needed? Because sometimes our families are like, we know you, we know what you need, we know what's going to be best for you. And so it's very important that, really having that empathy and connecting with them to really understand, but also to listen to what it is that person wants. Mhm.
Hi, it's wonderful to be here. I had the opportunity to connect with Pivot when it was first beginning, before COVID happened, when we actually had some in-person meetings on Baltimore Street, and look forward to reconnecting. And I am a licensed clinical social worker, a person in long-term recovery, and also have worked significantly with reentry programs, mostly in California with the criminal justice system. And I think that, one of the things is really helping people develop a support system in the community, because oftentimes people are released and they've been in maybe some kind of an intensive closed program where they've been safe, but they've not had the opportunity to beyond that, build that support system. And then all of a sudden they have this fresh opportunities. And there's a lot of things that you need to learn about taking a breath, stop, pause, and learn to, not try to do everything too much, but to stay in touch regularly, to develop that support system, to be checking in on a regular basis as we grow and we develop and we take on a whole lot of new responsibilities. And some days it is life, it shows up, and it needs to have the opportunity to have folks who are part of your support system, however you want to say that, and not try to do too much too fast, and not get too discouraged when things, having realistic opportunities and learning to not react, but to respond in positive ways. Anyway, I look forward to getting re-involved, and I'm really happy to be here on this meeting today. Thank you.
Thank you. I do. I agree that support systems are very important. Especially for returning citizens, but support systems are important for all of us.
All of us, yeah.
All of us need a support system without a doubt. And so for returning citizens, because so many of the opportunities are going to be brand new, and sometimes depending on the length of time that a person or individual may have done inside for incarceration, society is so new, right? And so I think support systems are very important in a part of that reconnection and that process of reconnection, because it's very hard to navigate systems that you might not have never been a part of for a very long time. And coming out into society is like a whole new system. I spoke with a young lady who said, the last time I was outside, Miss Jackson, we looked for a job with a newspaper. Now you need to look on the computer, and that's true, right? And so we have to step up and be the support system to help that individual navigate all of these new experiences and things that are happening once they actually are released. So support systems are very, very important in the healing process, because without them, how are they able to really sustain? No one person can do it all on your own, and being able to navigate so many different avenues out here, it's very difficult. And so it's difficult sometimes as a non-returning citizen. So imagine having, the issue of a criminal record and things like that. But I do agree. I agree that that is very, very important. And I hope that we continue to see more positive programs, support systems, community organizations, churches, just continue to do the work. I do think that there is a plethora of work happening here in Baltimore. And if we can just continue to strive forward and keep doing what we're doing and increasing it, I think that in my mind, we're going to definitely be able to change the narrative. Definitely here in Baltimore, we're going to be one of the key players in making sure that we do so with reform and things of that nature. So thank you so much for contributing that. Does anyone else have a comment? Any questions?
Yes, I do. I actually have not so much of a question. Miss Jackson said something that was really, really impactful. And I'm hoping that we don't miss it. And it's the key of communication. We oftentimes, and I want to speak a little bit about Pivot, the spirit that drives such a dynamic, I don't call it a program, I call it a journey and experience. Because if you come in and you do the work, you really do experience a life-changing experience. And we oftentimes look at people who are released from prison, and we think that what works for one person may work for that person, which is why communication is so vital in this process. Because I'm not going to try to put on a size 8 if I wear a size 5. And we oftentimes stick people who were previously incarcerated into programs that don't fit that need that they have. And I just my personal opinion, we think that everything works for everybody versus sitting down and having conversations with those that have been in prison and finding out what it is that they need and or even want. Because some people have been in prison for so long, they don't even know what they want. And so that with the kind of support that comes from experiences like Pivot, where they take the time to get to know the individual. Because the truth of the matter is, if you're living in the United States, you have issues. And so that is what brings us together, because we understand pain is pain. We understand that suffering is suffering. And so we are more alike than we are different. And so just finding that relatable connection, a thing that connects you to another human being, is the thing that makes us effective, is the thing that pushes people to become successful. And so I'm definitely appreciative of the work, the healing journey that takes place with some of these programs that are being presented in the city of Baltimore. And I'm gonna brag a little bit. I love Pivot because I went through the workforce development and it changed my life forever. I have not looked back. And one of the things that I hope you all understand is that psychologically and emotionally, it is an intense struggle for a man and a woman who has served over 10 years in prison, and to come out here in a society that is foreign to them. You feel like an alien. So you already come out with these issues, and mentally. So now that you have returned to a society that you once knew, that you no longer know, that is added on stress to your emotions and into your psyche. And so I think that it is very important to just be relatable and just be yourself. And I think that we could be most effective in helping people, men and women, who are being released. That's all I wanted to say.
That was amazing. Thank you. every time that Carlita speaks or that she allows us just the opportunity to hear a snippet of her journey, it is always a pleasure of mine. And I think that is very truthful. It's very authentic that oftentimes people are released and this whole world is foreign to them, depending on the amount of time that they've done, and really understanding that every individual is different. Every person is different. So no matter what your fear or anything might be, understanding that we really all are more alike in ways than we are different. And if we really sat with that and understood what that really means, it really would help so many of us to change the narrative that we see in our society right now. I really truly believe that. And it's about community and connection. We all can connect around things that we have in common, and understanding that connection is so vital, because that is at least a bridgeway for that person to feel like, okay, well, this person likes this person likes this, and this is something that I can at least relate about. And then using that to build the relationship and continue to get to know that person. What do they want? What do they desire? How can you be supportive for them? I think for so long in society and reentry work, it was, okay, this is what people need. This is what's going to help them make them productive. This is the supports that they should get. And now we're really shifting away and from that, and really in a space where we're getting to know, we're figuring out what do you want, and we're also walking as your support on the journey as you figure out what you want. Because sometimes you've been away for so long, you have to be exposed to different things to know exactly what you want, whether it's a career, whether it's food, whether it's a community that you live in. You have to try different things to really figure out what it is that I want. And just having the patience and the empathy and the space to allow that person to navigate those differences and figure out truly what they're passionate about, what they might want for themselves and their future here in the city. So I think that brings us to our time, does it, Ann?
Yeah, I think we have a few more minutes, but there are also some brain breaks that are coming up at 2. And then the next kind of group of sessions start at 2:15. So
Okay.
folks are welcome to kind of take a stretch break, go get a drink or whatever, but there's brain breaks at 2, and then more sessions start at 2:15. So
I would like to thank everyone who took time out to come, and I hope that you're able to continue to spread the word and help us all do the work as a community, as a society, to help move individuals forward by destigmatizing what it means to be a returning citizen. Thank you all for your time. Have a great afternoon.
This was awesome.
Oh, thank you.
Look forward to meeting you. Thank you.
All right, Ms. Stein, I look forward to meeting you as well.
And hi to Emily as well. Thank you.
I sure will.